Hi, this is Katie Oshiwanita with Harmonizing Journey to Realignment Seminar and Sessions with part 2 of Evolution of the Soul and HDR Insight. And it's all about the polarities, okay? There appears to be a repetitive theme throughout the evolution of the human being of cycles between EirA, female magnetic, and Mane, male electrical positive dominant forces. From our Terra evolution in HU2, we have the development of the two great civilizations, Alania and MU soul forces. Alania was a patriarchal and MU was a matriarchal civilization. According to the Voyagers series, all three Earth seedings had two primary cultures, the Patriarchal Atlantus and the Matriarchal Lemuria. While the spellings were a little bit different with each of the seedings, the evolution of the soul plays out these positive, negative, plus, minus polarities. Keep in mind, this discussion is in no way about biological sex. You can get that out of your head. This is about the soul's evolution. It is natural to be a female soul in a biological male body and vice versa, and you can have neutral as well. I think I remember Aisha saying something about 7 different sexual orientations. So anyway, so yeah. The body you're born in is perfect. It's exactly what you came here to be. You do not need to take chemicals or surgeries or any of that stuff that the satanic groups telling you, families are telling you to do, because that's the weird shit fuck stuff they do. Okay. Solomon's Temple story, all right, gives insight into understanding the evolution of these two polarities. As an example, at any rate, within man's soul upon the earth plane. The two primary resources used for this post are The Mystery Known to Rosiecrucians by Rudolf Steiner, Press Audio, YouTube, April 13th, 2019, and The Voyagers 2, Secrets of Amenti by Ashayana Dean, Ahrayas. The place, and when I say note, those are kind of my downloaded sort of added pieces of information separate from me just kind of reporting. It's still kind of my discernment, but there's just more specific into what I'm getting from it than what was actually said by Steiner or Aisha, okay, or anybody else, not really, although they may agree with me. So again, take it with a grain of salt and feel the information out for yourself. I'm still exploring as I put my pieces back together again, right? Okay. Next topic is the fall. So in Voyagers 2, The Secrets of Amenti, page 6, references how the biblical Adam and Eve story and the Noah Ark stories are kind of an amalgamation of stories referencing the fall of various periods throughout history and the development of the angelic human, which of course includes Terra 550 million years ago with that catastrophe. According to Steiner, the Adam and Eve story tells of the soul's evolution at the time of the Lemurian epoch, when the human being moved from being a group soul to a tribal soul, eventually becoming an individual I am expression during merging in sort of tail end kind of seeds in towards the end of the Lemurian epoch, according to Steiner's information, and then moving into the next Atlantean. Although really they were going on for the most part at the same time. Lemurian was earlier, and then the Atlantis. Many people moved from Lemuria to Atlantis and started to set that up. During this time, the Trinity of Light, God the Father, Mane, and Sound, EirA, Mother, and One Manu, Holy Spirit, became divided on the earth plane, okay, during this particular epoch, as far as I'm figuring, looking at all the information. All collective group soul beings held the Trinity within their structure. So like the Polarian epoch, the Hyperborean epoch was more of a Trinity consciousness, holding all three. All collective group souls being held in the Trinity within their structure, working as one cosmic consciousness, but there was no individual free will. The hierarchy is an example of all working in unison for the greater good of the cosmos, unable to do incorrect actions. Only until the ancient moon stage of evolution, during which the fall of man began, could man make individual choices, which is kind of working into the, like I said, the Polarian and Hyperborean epochs, kind of cycling through the moon phase, developing, beginning. The moon has its own phase, but then there's a period where the sun, moon, and earth were all together, which is kind of interesting. Sun, I just got this one. So sun is electrical, moon is more magnetic. Oh no, I guess that doesn't work. Somewhere there's got to be the form constant, the Manu, but maybe not. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. There is a natural evolutionary descending cycle to its corresponding ascending cycle, right? Descending, neutral kind of transition point, which is actually where we're at technically in our civilization, and then moving up the ascension path again. So becoming physical, and then spiritualizing back out again, taking in all of what you gain from that physical development. And let's just keep, this is well, they're showing it like this, but it's really spirals. Spirals. Okay. The fall occurred during the natural descending into a new evolutionary matter form, which is called the angelic human. The division of the male-female polarity may or may not be an organic step in evolution, but seems to be a factor in expressing free will choice as an individual I. Okay. Terra is our future evolution, to which we had fallen backwards in time 550 million years ago, in Terra's time, or I guess it's technically our time, but really Terra 550, anyway, 550, let's just say 550 million years ago, Terra had the catastrophe. Its morphogenetic field structure exploded. All the consciousnesses got exploded out, and their templates eventually got taken up by the Amenti sphere, which then was put into Earth. When it was put into Earth, it was back in Terra's ancient past, which would correlate to ancient Earth. And when we're looking at trying to figure out where Steiner's information ties in, I think he ties into that original ancient Earth, is what I'm kind of getting a feel of. So we go back in time to the ancient Earth roots, which is just to us Earth, right? So the root core of Earth's development has been to evolve into what Steiner likes to reference, and I like it too, I'm taking it to freedom spirits, okay? As yet, so far, it has not been successful. Again, we Terra fell back in time. We've done 3 seedings. 3 seedings. It's been kind of rough. But, okay. But the game is not finished, right? Thankfully, we're eternal beings. We never get it done because we're eternal, something like that. We will become a fully spiritualized freedom spirit, okay? But there will sadly be those who will not become spiritualized for personal reasons of their own will. Okay? They will become more materialistic until they permanently end up in the abyss or eighth sphere, phantom earth. The Rosicrucians' teachings distinguished between the Elohim and I thought was interesting, being that there is a difference. So they distinguished between the Elohim and the Jehovah Yahweh gods. An interesting note from Voyagers is Jehovah and Yahweh are from the fallen Anu Elohim Giovanni Gestalt that began 250 million years ago. According to Ashayana Dean, the Yahweh matrix was initially created as a healing hosting matrix. They are still within the guardian Elohai Elohim, right, family, but became polarized to express themselves in a male-dominant, self-centered, egotistical way. The Yahweh matrix also fell, becoming who we know as the wrathful, male-dominated Yahweh, right? To me, a very immature God the Father, but it is the root, part of connecting into that root God the Father. But this matrix is still knowledgeable of the mechanics, but that matrix is still knowledgeable of the mechanics of manifestation and is still a massive unseeable being to our 3D eyes, right? Doesn't make him a god, though. It doesn't make him a god. It just makes him, a different dimension. And you got to earn respect, right? Don't just give it. Okay. So focusing in on the Adam and Eve, according to the Rosicrucian teachings, the Elohim had created Eve and had relations with her. And I have a little note in there of my interpretation of what that is I would say chances were this had been a matriarchal EirA group soul lineage, which he does reference them as being lineage. Steiner does too, references as the lineage. It's not just one person. The relations could be when the Eve mother soul collective began to split to form matriarchal daughters, and he does talk about that too, about the mother and then the daughters. So that's somewhat of a Steiner thing, but he didn't say it specifically with this, but this I'm just feeling the two coming together. So began to split to form matriarchal daughters who fostered and impregnated Elohim's seed to birth the sons of men, Cain, patriarchal lineage of demigods. This created two downstepped polarized clans into the earth plane. And again, this was, I think, really part of trying to get it right. I'm trying to get it right. All right. This also marked the beginning of the division of the Elohai Elohim and the Anu Elohim of the Giovanni Gestalt. Sadly, the patriarchal Cain ego became lost in the passions and desires of the instinctual world, the lion's nature. The female EirA energy to tame the cravings was out of balance. Okay. So comes in. The Yahweh matrix agreed with henceforth is why we had that Giovanni, it'll come out of my mouth, Jehovah Yahweh hosting matrix to compensate for the original that didn't work, right? Their first seedings, original seeding just didn't take. Hopefully I'm making sense. Okay. The Yahweh matrix agreed with Abel's deeds. Okay. And as I'm speaking, I'm also following what the story is, right? Loosely. Okay. So Yahweh agreed with Abel's deeds because he understood them. They were of his consciousness field, but he did not like the Cain ego lineage offerings. They were not in line with Yahweh's purpose. Plus, the Yahweh matrix tended to be, as we kind of know, petty anyway. So the Cain lineage lost in their desires and passions, became jealous and petty towards their half-brother Abel lineage, committing fratricide. Right? The Cain group soul lineage was kicked out of Eden, which Steiner kind of really references it as more imagination paradise, aka early Lemuria, and founded their own nation, probably early Atlantis. This new nation included Methuselah, Tubal-Cain, the iron workers. And it's interesting, and I was going to actually modify this document, but I forgot, is there's also time cycles referencing of the, like the Voyagers, which I didn't do it in the other, which I might end up doing in the other third document, or fourth document coming out, is there's the Iron Age of the cycle and the Golden Age. I wonder if the Cain Ironworks is, no, that's, yeah, maybe that's Bronze Age. I think there's a key to this, but that's a whole different rabbit hole to go down. And then we have the great architect lines of the original Cain lineage. The patriarchal Cain nation was one of arts and sciences, a hard-working, industrious people who connect will and desire from the Elohim to accomplish on their own merit. Okay, and their patriarchal male-dominant tone to this lineage, which connects into the Alanian/Atlantean connection. Okay, at least that's what I'm getting. And then which I wonder with the Eve too, with the original Elohim, that oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind, I'm going to go on. The Adam and Eve collectives created the Seth lineage to replace the Abel clan. The Seth nation established the Solomon line of the wisdom of the world and calm, clear, objective wisdom. The words that go straight to the heart and uplift them. Okay, that's in quotes. Kind of what Steiner sort of references the wording of explaining that particular lineage. There was an inability to create mechanical creations. Jeshua, and also Jeshua, aka Jesus of Nazareth, came from this line. Well, actually, I said that, but I wouldn't say Jesus of Nazareth. Although he says, no, I don't know. Yeah, he says that. But I think it's more Jeshua Sananda, I think, is that. But they're actually kind of related in a kind of interesting way. Of the two, the Jeshua 9 and Jeshua 12. But anyway, okay, came from this line. People tend to be atavistically clairvoyant, as in living in a dreamy, unconscious, creative state of seeing the world. Okay, they can bring through the blood of their being divine cosmic consciousness. Right, there was a matriarchal divine love element, which connects into the Mu Lemurian connection of that particular lineage. Okay, again connecting into Terra. All right, Steiner references, just as a little, well, not a note that I did, but a note he did, or a note of what he said, is Steiner references that the Abel lineage was not entirely killed off. Okay, because it was a lineage, right? Not one person. So they are a hidden race who tend to live away from civilization and away from worldly desires to keep themselves pure. So yeah, interesting. Okay, so the next section is the Rosicrucian Masonic Level 3 initiation. So we're going to get more into we're getting into the Solomon's Temple story. As far as I understand from Steiner and what my gut tells me, the old Masonic lodges, and I'll explain that in a minute, have lost their keys and only mimic the words without really gaining the meanings. But at any rate, according to Rosicrucian teachings, which at the time they were wicked, weird, and evil. Okay. The Masonic level 3 initiation is to interpret interpret the Solomon Temple story. Not to analyze it with the intellect, but to use all faculties of intuition and imagination to become enlightened, awakened to your own inner Solomon's temple within, right? Loosely translated, the story goes like this. Okay. And y'all can read up on, and I just boo-boo-doodled. Y'all can read it up if you want to. The real story, all details of it. There's all kinds of literature out on it, but this is kind of my gist that I kind of got from the article. All right, so King Solomon was a mighty king whose people were dearly beloved. He wanted to build a temple to express his power on earth to benefit the people he served. But he alone lacked the skills and abilities to build the structure of the temple to which his powers could be worked, right? That divine atavistic wisdom. But his brother Hiram, okay, the great architect, and anybody gets into masonry knows the importance of the architect, okay? The architect of the mind. Architect and master builder could accomplish this task. So they agree, and Hiram is working hard to create the temple. So creating the logic and reasoning, intellectual brain that can actually hold the divine wisdom is kind of another way, in my opinion, of saying it. Okay, so along comes this hot queen of Sheba, Balkis, who at first has the hots for Solomon, right? And they got engaged, and she decides one day to take a trip to the construction site and gets wowed by Hiram. Well, needless to say, Solomon is beyond jealous and would love to take out Hiram. These children. Anyway, only he needs Hiram to finish his temple, right? So again, we're having that struggle between the two polarities, right? So when the temple was close to being finished, the molten sea, which is to adorn the temple, was left to be cast. A unique combination of, this molten sea is a unique combination of ores was to be used. There were 3 apprentices assigned to do the task. Only these 3 apprentices were not very good, and Hiram had passed them over for promotion. Well, they were really freaking pissed off and wanted revenge. So a friend learned of the plan and went to tell Solomon, who spitefully ignored the information because, well, he was still pissed and wanted to destroy Hiram. On that day of the casting, it disintegrated right before Hiram. He tried splashing water on it, only increasing the fire. His ancestor Tubal-Cain intervened, telling him to enter the fire because he could not be killed because, well, he's an invulnerable ancestor of the demigod Cain. Hiram, which by all those of us that are true angelic humans, or demigods, when our angelic DNA is properly activated. Anyway, Hiram entered the flame, moving down into the center of the earth. There he found pristine, perfect Cain, who, by this point, had tamed the passions and desires, right, of the lion. Hiram was initiated into the fire bronze. That is bronze, okay, casting mineral, the Bronze Age, okay. I'm just going to add that in there. Must be connected to the Bronze Age. Receiving a hammer and a golden triangle that he wore as a pendant around his neck. Okay. Hiram then returned and completed the casting of the molten sea, making everything in order again. The queen consented to marry him, but the 3 apprentices still ended up killing him. But As he slowly died, he threw the golden triangle into a well. Everyone was looking for Hiram. Even at this point, Solomon was worried and concerned about foul play. I don't know why. They made up a master word to signify that he was found. When he was found, he was eventually found on his dying breath, literally just about ready to die. He said, Cain has promised that he would have children, a lineage that would finish building the temple. He then showed them what the golden triangle had been hidden, which was then placed within the molten sea to be preserved for all eternity. They can only be found by those who can see and are connected to Hiram, the master builder, the tamed instinctual passions and desires of the lion's nature, right? Development of the intellect, okay? Being able to have balance, being able to bring in that EirA, Kristalla, atavistic, divine spirit, divine wisdom, information, and grounding and stabilizing it in God the Father, and then balancing that in more with, or having the God the Father balanced intellect, okay, functioning intellect of the I, ego, to be more bringing in the Manu. Okay, meaning behind Solomon's temple, which I was already kind of going into. Let's go into it some more. So Steiner states Solomon's temple story is about the destiny of the third, fourth, and fifth civilizations of the post-Atlantean epoch. So pretty much when you get into Steiner, unless he's talking specifically about initiation science of some sort, he's always referencing these epochs of development, which again is the evolution of the soul, or evolution of the angelic human, or evolution of the earth, or the universe. Okay, this time matrix. So the temple represents at one level the temple of the occult societies, but these societies were an outer expression of the inner development of the soul, or the Templar, the Cathar grid structure. Okay. The Solomon clan represented the third post-Atlantean civilization of looking to the cosmic stars to govern the divine loving wisdom emergence of the astral D4 soul. They developed the ability to hold, again, calm, clear, objective star wisdom. No personal desire, detached spiritual piety. So again, the divine feminine, EirA, Kristalla, Mu, soul forces. Really the root. And then there's the branching out from that root, right? The flashing out. Okay. The Hiram clan, the initiates of the sons of Cain, were those Elohim that, during the moon's epoch, became stunted and developmentally stuck, right? So they represented the fourth post-Atlantean civilization of bringing through arts and sciences the star wisdom to the natural laws of the earth, the development of the moon, fire, wisdom, blood, moon, astral, root, I, ego, which moving from Lemuria into Atlantis, okay? Atlantis is when we first began to start developing our ego. And then when we merged, when that civilization ended, we were moving into the post-Atlantean, which is more specifically developing the intellect that makes the I, ego, function in this plane. So the desire will, so looking at the desire will be overcome to be a master of Manet, showing a desire for wisdom, arts and science, enthusiasm, the maker of wisdom, fire, Manet, Christos, Alania, male dominating soul forces, right? Because that's the Hiram clan. Both are very important, right? You can't have one without the other. You can't have one without the other, right? Doesn't mean each of them are functional right now, or coolio right now. Some aspects. Okay, so then the Queen of Sheba, Balkis, is the soul of humanity. For every female represents the soul in esoterica terminology in the mystery schools. Females in stories are always representing the soul, right? EirA, root, soul, expressing out, Manet, manifest. Okay. She took her position between the two. She had to choose between, right, the detached piety of wisdom and not being concerned with worldly conquest, and the masterful wisdom through overcoming earthly passions and desires. She engaged with Hiram because he was still building the Templar, Cathargrid, template to house the soul forces. Okay. The molten sea was created when specific amounts of water, which would be EirA, magnetic, and molten metal, Mane, fire, are casting together. All right. The three apprentices, I got a feeling, represent D dimensions 1 through 3. They weren't functioning correctly. They couldn't be, right? They couldn't be upgraded. They weren't functioning right, right? They couldn't be promoted. And they ended up causing things to be destroyed. Dysfunctional. Could be, again, not that Steiner said it, but could correlate to possibly one of the seedings crashing, maybe, or something like that. But when Tubular Cane Ironworks Mineral Kingdom reveals the mysteries of fire to Hiram, he can unite fire and water in the right way to bring the molten sea into being. This means Hiram, the architect, builder, demigod Cain, became the balancing force of the Manu soul forces. Okay. And then I have a note. When water, magnetic EirA of calm wisdom, is united with the astral moon world of fire of passion and desire, electrical Mane, the union of bronze becomes lasting, enduring through the fifth epoch of developing the intellect of the I-ego, the ability to transform the world through one's own inner awareness and knowledge. In the sixth post-Atlantean civilization, or era, we will then be able to decipher the golden triangle, which I have a feeling is the Rishi Sun gold and silver one. That's what I think. The mechanics of how you bring the two opposite triangles, HU1 and HU2, together in a balanced, sustaining bronze way of Atman, Buddhi, Manus, Spirit Man, or Holy Spirit equals Manu, the form constant of the womb of creation. Right? You have to. That's makes up the Trinity. Right? Sound in one. You have to have the three together, or you're going to get drastic polarities back and forth. Okay. The Holy of Holies within. Okay, and I'm going. Well. Anyway, the Holy of Holies within the Sun and cosmos of the Guardian Alliance, aka the hierarchy, is where the occult masters have their abode. Now, some may say the hierarchy is not the Guardian Alliance, but I would say you have probably still ones that are functioning, and you probably have ones that fallen, but hey, it's still the lineage. Let's just suck it up. Okay. But anyway, it's where the occult masters have their abode. They are us at a higher level, right? They are working diligently to create forms they as us can embody as we, as the all that is, expand and evolve, right? The Master Ma Sun, so Christ consciousness, knows what the molten sea and the golden triangle represent upon the crown of the temple, equaling the physical, etheric, astral, spirit body. Okay. And then another note. Ma, Sun. Okay, so Ma or Mar or Mari, the earthly and galactic navigators who were the daughters of the EirA Crystalla Mother. The sons were of the Christos god, the father Mane. That's what I'm getting. Okay, so sons, Ma, son. Okay, sons, father Mane. The sons are the newly evolving I-ego with the daughter soul Sophia of Earth. May one day they take their rightful place with their Crystala D13 and Christos D12 within the divine cosmos. Okay. All right. So Sophia is probably would be considered, I have a feeling, she may be a navigator consciousness. So both are, and not to say that she's functioning, she needs to be a virgin. But anyway, that's another topic. Both are incomplete without the other, yet still cannot harmonize together, right? That's been the struggle. It's all about the polarities. Steiner references in ancient times the Ahrimanic magnetic EirA and the Luciferic electrical Mane forces to try to counterbalance these two forces within the angelic human being. Ahrimanic pull, magnetic, one back into the body, Luciferic pulling out, okay, of their body. Okay, both of them are part of the divine ancient cosmic laws. They've got a bit of right dysfunctional, but they had a root that was organic. Okay, only more problems have arisen because of that connection. Hasn't been working. It's kind of been really kind of sucky, kind of really dysfunctional. The Christos, C-R-Y-S-T-O-S, Christ, C-H-R-I-S-T, however we want to spell it, within the Son, was also to incarnate as the master carpenter of the mind, who, through the mystery, and that's Hermetic teachings, Christ is considered the master carpenter in Hermetic, Masonic type teachings. Carpenter of the mind, the architect, who, through the mystery of Golgotha, is the Holy Spirit. So I guess, anyway, I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm not going to do that. So, through the mystery of Golgotha is the Holy Spirit, the Manu form constant balancing Seth Solomon clan force as the blood of Christ, the Viveka code. That's what actually, technically, what Jeshua did when he came in, was through his coding was able to reinsert, bring back in something called the Viveka code that has to do with the Veka system of our time matrix. That flows with, and it's flowing within the earth grids. So his blood, so to speak, is flowing through the earth grids that allows certain things to occur of development of the human race. So the Buddhi, B-U-D-D-H-I-E, comma, turned outwards now to love for others, as opposed to just doing with focusing in. That consciousness is now able to be more unity consciousness, which has been very important in the development of the human race. You can't not do it. You can't keep doing it the way we've been doing it in the past. Esoterica Christianity, not Bible thumpers, Esoterica Christianity, that's what I'm involved with, also kind of known as Chelonic science, had come in as a secret held by a few. Unfortunately, at the time of Golgotha, Christ, or our Christos D12 divine blueprint, spirit, man, still could not touch Cain's I-ego. If this stream of consciousness of Chelon-coded being did, it would not have touched Cain's heart. Christ's consciousness would have ruled over this fledgling I-ego, and that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a freedom spirit, right? So it has been necessary during the past 2,000 years of the fourth and the fifth post-Atlantean civilizations for the Cain lineage to be active in building the temple of worldly arts and science, leading to which will eventually lead to the war against all. Okay. This has been a rocky road for both forces. Okay. The Cain forces, aka ego I forces, have been going down a more materialistic evolutionary path in our AI technocracy. It has been necessary, while frustrating, for the human to slow down and take the time to develop his I ego, or our I ego, right? Spirit identity. His fiery temperament has caused him to enter the Ahrimanic forces of materialism or get caught up in the upward Luciferic abstract delusional thinking. But both lead to a chaotic, imbalanced, materialistic reality that will only lead man to degenerate and harden into the abyss. The Seth Solomon soul forces have tended to probably more get caught up in, not that that's an absolute, either one can get caught up in either of the forces, or at times both, caught up in the more delusional, Luciferic, abstract, new agey, love, light, and clueless ideologies not grounded in the real world. Okay. According to Steiner, the Temple of Solomon has been created. And he was saying this at his lifetime at the turn of the century. But the secret, which is kind of, I want to say, close to the midway point in the 5th Atlantean epoch era. Yeah. But the secret to the crown is still left. The Masonic initiate, represented as Hiram, had been betrayed and killed. The secrets held only by a few held the molten sea golden triangle. Okay. The being, Christian Rosiecrucians, before Christ's birth said, so we knew him as more Rosiecrucians, but he's been incarnate at different times previous. So, before Christ's birth said, they have sown the wind, and they will reap the whirlwind. According to Steiner, in the 4th and 5th post-Atlantean epoch civilization, mankind shall be made free. The incarnate Buddha Christ will unite himself with freedom and make one equal in the sight of God. But the spirit wind released will first become a whirlwind, equaling the war against all. And then I have a little note on that in my interpretation of the war against all. People can agree or disagree. Like, again, take it all with a grain of salt. To me, I think the war the war against all is predominantly really a war within oneself, between this fire soul, Cain, divine cosmic wisdom, finding their new place okay, I didn't say that once, between the fire soul and Cain and the divine cosmic wisdom, finding the two polarities together. And because everything is within us, all reality that now is within reflects out in our manifest world, which is actually, by the time we reflect reality up and around us, it's actually the past, because it already occurred within. So there'll also be a reflected outward expression depending upon where your individual personal planetary regime field structure has evolved, how you will experience, I think, in the future, that quote-unquote war against all. And then also the war against all is a Revelations reference to be discussed in part 3, the next one. Okay. First, Christianity had to come in through the earthly sphere of the cross. And note, really, cross has to do with the Templar and the temple, the cross, and your cathar grid structure, and I think probably also the two cathar grid structures, the more magnetic current earth-based, and then you have your more electrical, more not, I guess it might be the other way, more Terra, more your parallel. Ante and anti. Matter and antimatter. And then you have your antimatter. Okay. Anyway. So the crucifix became but as we know, the crucifix became a symbol when it became a political, materialistic kind of Son of God suffering on the cross. Because of the division, there is a suffering until we rise up and become whole. The cross encircled by the roses represents the 6th post-Atlantean epoch era, upon which the molten sea golden cross will be revealed. And we're actually right now, I think, with the Aquarian, quote-unquote Aquarian age, so to speak, or the new age that's come up. I think I think we're moving into the 6th post-Atlantean epoch era. Okay. And again, I'm going to go more into these. Part 4, we'll get into that more. Okay. The Master Templar Stewardship. Okay, the Master Templar Stewardship Initiative by Ashayana Dean, Ahrayas, page 138, referring to Christ on the cross. She references it as the checkerboard mutation, as completely distorted this natural electromagnetic relationship between person and planet, and within Earth's natural orbital and axis alignment with the universal stargates. The Christ on the cross represents our blueprint template distortions or man's suffering. Okay, we can say it represents how more into how our polarities are distorted as well, and why we're having trouble being balanced. Okay, and in conclusion, in the 6th post-Atlantean era, according to the Rosicrucian Rose Cross, the triangle symbolizes the sun merging at the right angle with the Earthman through the molten sea of the reincarnation cycles of birth to death and death to birth. Spiraling. The karmic balance reveals the ancient cosmic intelligence, all right, knowledge of Atman. All right, my video just stopped, but I'm going to start it up again. Okay, so the karmic balance reveals the ancient cosmic intelligence knowledge of Atman, Buddhi, and Manas, of the Christos spirit man Maharata, becoming an open secret that the 6th era becomes ripe enough to receive it. Rosiecrucians will no longer need to warn or heed warning, because the outer will be resolved balance in the open molten sea, and the sacred golden triangle Maharata, i.e. clearing the checkerboard mutation within our templates, right? The balancing the polarities, form constant structure back again. All right. Next part will be part 3, will be the 7 seals and 7 trumpets from the book of Revelations regarding the post-Atlantean ages. Again, probably it seems like about a month. I've got lots of notes on it, but I got to get it together. Okay, and I'm always going to probably add something. So, as I keep growing in myself. Thanks for joining me today. I know this was a longer post, but hopefully it was worth your time. Please like and share, and if you have not subscribed yet, please do. Also, I would love to hear your comments on the subject as well. And if any ideas that you have on topics too that you might want me to delve into, I would be open to that as well. If you want a session to connect the soul spirit with your inner being as the all that is EirA, please check out the link below for a private introductory EirA session. Also, check out my Waking in Alania series. Much love and peace. Again, Katie Oshiwanita, the EirA Navigator, helping others to connect with their multi-dimensional clan family. Y'all have a wonderful day, week, month, and I will probably be doing another Facebook Live session probably in October. Thank you.